I feel like the only way out is really through. And that sounds like really dumb, but and it kind of is, but I feel like recently I've been on this like wave. I've been on this wave low key where it's been like, oh, like, I keep kind of like, and this was like last year, like I kept waiting for something like to change. And that's not a, I guess it's not inherently a bad thing to kind of like wait and expect change and like pray for it. But I feel like for me, all of a sudden I was just kind of like, Mama, I was like, girl, you gotta wake up. You gotta wake up. I feel like this year I've been a lot more intentional about like just trying to like do more. And I sound so stupid, but like low key, I've just been like, instead of just like waiting for something good to happen, and like I'm like, oh, like I can't keep going on if it's just gonna be like this. And I'm like, maybe there's like a steadfastness in low key like suffering through the horrors of everyday life, which is so stupid because I am beyond blessed, like beyond blessed. I think the worst part for me is that I really am not like mentally stimulated enough in my current environment. And that's not bad. That's not a bad thing to like, manifest, pray for it, and like look for that change, right? Because I do need change in my daily life right now. Like I do need some sort of like daily change. But I think for me, it's like instead of just like waiting for good things to happen, I really planned this year and made good things happen. Like for me, one of those things is like concerts. Like concerts are like one of my favorite. Like they're just, I mean, like I think everyone enjoys a concert, but like duh. But like I think for me, it's just such like a, it's just such a highlight for me in terms of like what we can experience on Earth. Not only that, but just like sometimes the only way sometimes the only way out is really like through. Like I kept waiting last year for something to change or someone to low key come save me. And it's like no one's coming to save you. And I guess that's kind of like scary, but also at the same time, I guess maybe I've just grown more like in terms of just like taking responsibility for my life and like giving myself more grace, and that like it's gonna change. Like I think one of the best things you can do is not just like wait for the change to happen, if that makes sense. And like I'm like, oh, like I'm waiting for all this like just to stop feeling like sad. Like I'm waiting for this feeling to go away, but like really like what am I doing so that like I can create healthier habits that help make it easier to not feel sad all the time, whether that's like going to the gym, reading a book instead of doom scrolling. And that sounds so stupid, like all this stuff is so basic, but for me it's really been like, honestly, this year has been returning to the basics. But like low curcuminally, the only way out is through. And I feel like that's really true for me this year, is that like I cannot just keep waiting and expecting that something is going to change without just putting a foot forward. Even just like, I know that saying goes where it's like empty mouths don't get fed, which is kind of low-key freaky. But like honestly, like for all these concerts and things that I'm doing, like even like just going to the gym, like I put my best foot forward, and I expect for the best to happen. And like it's still like this year has been really hard because I feel like I'm just kind of like, I need to get out of my small town, and that sounds so stupid, but I'm like, I need to leave my small town. Like I feel so trapped here, and I feel really trapped in like the social setting that I'm in. Like there's just not a lot of people. Um and so I'm like, oh, like instead of like waiting, I'm like, I'm gonna like do this, go to the gym and just not just like suffer through it, because last year I feel like I really suffered through it, and just like it took such a toll on me because I just was like, where is the goodness in all of this? And there's something to be said about having like a patience in suffering. And like that sounds that sounds so stupid, but like there is really something to be said about like we're so eager to get out of the suffering that we're in, and that like the current, like, the hardest parts of, like, my chapter that I'm in right now. But I feel like there's almost, like, I'm finding the peace in the uncomfortability, if that makes sense. I'm finding a lot of peace in just being uncomfortable in my setting. And that sounds really stupid, but I'm also finding out that there's, like, a lot of peace in maybe feeling really lonely, feeling really isolated, feeling not career fulfilled, trying to find out, not just like trying to make it disappear through like numbing it, but also like trying to find the best way to solve it, and really in the struggle that it brings, trying to find the best way to process it and figure out where the core root of what I'm feeling and that is. And for me, that looks like, I don't know, just like my biggest revelations, and that sounds so stupid. Like, I hate it when people are like, well, like, what's the season teaching you when you're just having a rough moment? Like, I don't, that will make me freak out. But low key, like, in these toughest seasons, like this year, I'm really grateful that, like, I'm low key in a way repeating a past season of life. But I've taken a really different approach to it, and I still make mistakes. Like, that is literally just the human experience. Like, the other day, this lady, I like was putting on this like bicep curl. It was like a free weight. I was putting weights on it, and then like the weights fell off and spilled everywhere. And like, I always do, like, I've done it a million times, and it's really important that you like get the weights on there right at the equal amount so that they don't like fall over and tip over. And I did that, and I like went away, and it just spilled over. And then this lady, this older lady, I think she was like a trainer in the gym, came up and she was like, you need to put the sleeves on. And she was being like really rude. And I was like, oh yeah, like I've got them over there. Like, I need to add more weight. Like, I'm going to put more, like, I'm gonna put more weight on. Where am I going with the story? But then, like, I think this story is so stupid, but like, she was just like, yeah, like, put the weights on. And I was like, no, like, I am, like, thank you. Like, I've done this like 100 times before. As I said this to her, I was like, I've done this before, like, not in like a rude way. I'm like, oh, I've done this before, I know what I'm doing. I'm like, just, even when you know what you're doing, like, mistakes just happen. Like, and from other people's outside perspective, they're gonna think that like you're clueless or an idiot, or that you're just some sort of like dumb teenager. Probably what this lady thought of me. But at the same time, I valued it more because I gave myself more grace, because I knew that like she didn't know the whole story, and she doesn't have to anyways. I don't need to explain myself to some random lady in the gym, and you don't need to explain to people who don't know the whole version of you. Like, that, obviously, like, mistakes happen. Obviously, we need to take, there's like, you need to take personal accountability for what you're going through, but also, like, this person didn't know the whole story and got really upset for really no good reason. I'm like still pressed about it. Bless her, forgive her. But also, in the same way, like, it's really important that you give yourself grace for the mistakes you're making, and that, like, if you feel like you're in a past season right now where you're repeating like a season of life, I just really urge you to find peace in the uncomfortability, because we're so ready to escape it, right? And that sounds so stupid, but really, like, what is it that you can pull away? Like, that sounds so, like, it triggers me to no end to hear people say that, but honestly, like, I'm repeating this same season again, and um honestly, like, I'm really grateful for it. And that sounds really, I'm like, there are really hard moments where I feel so clueless as to what my life is, but I'm really grateful that I got to repeat this same season and make new discoveries, and also take new steps to better myself. And I'm still not perfect, because no one is perfect at the end of the day. That's why it's important to give yourself grace for when you make mistakes, because you will always be messing up in life in some way or another. But there is just grace that the only way out really is through, and to just keep pushing forward. And not like, I don't want to survive life, I want to live life. So anyways, that low-key was like really that was low-key kind of tea. I don't know, I kind of slayed that down. Ah! I can't do this anymore. I like can't do this anymore. I need to get out of here, Lord. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and just don't forget that you need to give yourself grace for mistakes. Wow, I'm such a wise scholar. No, I'm not. Anyways, bye.